to forest all the time and just eat them. And she called them Meshugana mushrooms. Because they would make her Meshugana.
Bezrat Hashem, so
Yeah.
you have to know where you're getting your stuff from.
They should do one day when they just put it accidentally in the issue.
My grandma was like,
It'd be like Brian Johnson.
Just see what happens.
Did another one.
So she used to go there like all the time to get like Meshugana mushrooms. She's like,
Bezrat Hashem, be aware.
it's pretty funny.
Always be aware of where you're getting things from. Always, it's actually an interesting. You should always trace things back. Always ask yourself
Always go
the
to the
question.
source.
Always go to the source, which means ask yourself the question: okay, where did this seltzer come from? Well, the water, and then the carbon dioxide and the bubbles went into it. Okay, where did the water come from? From the ground. Where did the ground from? Hashem. Okay, where did the bubbles, the carbon dioxide, where did the elements come from? From Hashem. Okay, anything. Where did this book come from? Paper. Where did the ink come from? Different materials. Where did the materials come from? The ground, Hashem. You can always trace everything back to Hashem. And then you start connecting everything back to source. I remember sitting in college with some of the chevra and just sitting there and going out having a pint of Guinness. And I remember thinking that, like, what went into bringing this pint of Guinness to the table right now?
Fermentation.
So let's go back to the hops. Let's go back to the barley. Who grew the barley?
Sergina.
Who made this? Who made the glass? What are the Who built up the bottle factory that made the glass that everything would go into the bottles? Who drove these bottles from? They were shipped over from Ireland, and then who drove? Where did they get picked up? And the guy who drove the bottles in the big Guinness truck. So, what kind of day was he having? Did he have a coffee that day? Does he have good shalom bias? Is he in a happy place in his life? And you would sit here with this pint and think, look what went into this. How much consciousness went into this. So imagine then sipping your guinea at that moment. It's a different experience. Is that you're just consciously aware. As a lot of people, when it comes to food, they basically see food and an arrow that says insert here. It's just, eat the food. Well, can we think how this came to where it is? It had so much context and so much consciousness.
Well, modern food, you really don't know the answer to that question.
Well, that's all the more reason that you should do this experience of where is it all coming from.
Where's the red 4 coming from?
Yeah. What's an E42?
Citric acid or whatever.
What's going on there? Where is that coming from? You just start to think. Because that gives a person informed consent. I know what's going on. I'm aware of what's going on. It's very important to have informed consent. I understand the implications. I understand what's going on here. So there's something amazing the Rebbe is going to get into. This is really next level now. We're going to speak today about questions and answers. Understanding questions, understanding answers. And hopefully we'll have some question and answers from our chevra, from around the world. Always wonderful when people share with us where you're writing from today, which part of God's beautiful world you find yourself in at this moment. I'm always amazed that it's so wonderful to have friends of ours around the world sharing with us, growing with us, which part of the world that you're from. We're going to learn about the idea of a question and the idea of an answer. Because a question and an answer is a very deep thing. It's a very profound thing. You ask a question because you don't know something. Almost all learning starts with a question. You ask somebody a question, and it's a way that a person gets brought in. It's a way that a person gets pulled in to an idea. It's like, I never thought about that. And it makes people think, like, that's fascinating. I never thought about that. Do you think most people were encouraged to ask questions growing up? I wonder. Were people encouraged to ask questions growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think that would be from our perspective. perspective as Jews.
Do you think most people were encouraged to ask questions? Or not so encouraged?
Probably not. You're kind of told what to think.
I mean, there was a point within 5 years where science, which is the process of asking questions, was saying that science is now not asking questions. So,
I think many people were not encouraged to ask questions growing up.
Trust the science.
Oh,
I am science. Remember that? Like the I am science, like the whole COVID thing.
human being is science.
During COVID, yeah. It's like there's like don't.
Were we encouraged to ask questions growing up? I think most people are probably not encouraged to ask questions. I think most people were probably told, like, you can ask that, but don't ask too many other things. In Hebrew we say, ad kan v'sulo. You can ask a question up to here, but don't ask anything else. Were you encouraged to ask questions? Let's put that in for the chevra. Were you encouraged? I wonder if people were encouraged to ask questions. I think most of the world was not encouraged to ask questions. And one of the things that a person noticed when they come to yeshiva is that we're all about questions. You're going to ask a billion questions. A zillion questions. We're all about questions. So there's something amazing here. Says the Rabbi, "V'gam ze hachacham ador anir la'el." This great tzaddik, tzarich leida eize makifin shu tzarich lamshicham, ve'eize makifin she'ein tzarich lamshicham. So let's think about this. Remember we said when you share something with somebody else, what happens? Something goes from you, and it goes to the student, and the student receives something they didn't know before, and then it makes more space for something to now come into you. So let's say the student asks a question. Sometimes you get this, a guy will say like, Rabbi, can you teach us about like Maisim Merkava? This is like, first day in yeshiva. So what should the Rebbe say? Should he begin a long explanation of what Maisim Merkava is? Can you teach us the secrets of Kabbalah? So everyone's sitting there, it's like a class on relationships, on being nice to your wife, and he's like, can you tell me about Kabbalah? So, is it the right thing to answer that question? Is there such a thing that there's not always space to answer a question? A person can always ask a question. But is there such a thing as space that you tell this person, you say, if we start speaking about this will take us like a long time to go through? That maybe we should grow a little bit and then we could speak about this question. So here there's an idea that a real chacham has to know if he starts explaining certain things to people, they will get a consciousness that's more than they can understand right now. If you went to the Baba Sali and you're like, can you teach me, Aleph Kabbalah right now? So, of course, why not? You're asking me. Is that person able to handle all that light?
you like trying to charge your the Example you always give, charging your phone in the nuclear power plant.
You want a quick charge. You put the phone into the wall, into the nuclear power plant. What's going to happen to the phone? Gegangen.
It won't be charged.
It'll blow up.
It'll just be gone. So what do we need to do? We need to take the energy of the power plant and then be able to make it relatable that the phone can receive the charge that it needs. But if we don't take that energy and provide it in the right way, then it's not going to help the phone. It's going to blow it up.
So we're phones, basically.
You're much more than a phone. But the consciousness, the vibe, the energy that's coming to give energy to the phone, if we're not careful with that, it's just going to pop the phone. So Prince said, yeah, well, you're holding back your energy, nuclear power plant. Well, yeah, because otherwise there's not going to be a phone. What about the sun? What, the sun is bigoted? Why are you so far away from us?
Right.
Like you don't want to be closer? Well, if you were closer, it wouldn't be so good for you. And if you're further away, it would also not be good for you. The sun is exactly positioned in the right place that us, the inhabitants of Earth, could appreciate and enjoy the rays of the sun.
Without burning or freezing.
Without burning or freezing. So let's take that now into a spiritual context. Is if somebody wants to receive the light of an idea, well, if he starts flying too close to the sun, that's not necessarily going to be a good thing for them. So how do we know when somebody asks you a question, how do we know how much light to give that person? They're asking a question because they want a higher consciousness. When you're the asker of the question, you're always asking it from a place of something that's, you want a makif. That's why you're asking a question. You want something that's a higher darga. So you're asking, you're saying, Ma. We already said that's Dora Mala. You're holding a Dora Mata. So you're like, Ma, what? There's something that I don't know. So you want something higher. So now the teacher who's holding a Dora Mala, he wants to give you. So how much and how does he know to give what's going to be the appropriate response for the student? That they'll receive the light and it won't overwhelm them, but it will also honor them by giving them the light. So how do we balance this, my friends? There's certain things which the light is so strong that it needs to wait. You need to be able to give this light appropriately to the students. You know, Rabbi Chaim, at the end of his life, so what did he say? He said that I want to reveal great secrets to you. And I thought that I was going to wait to reveal these secrets to you up in Shemayim. Which means that there were secrets that were so great that I thought the only time that you'd be able to receive them would be once we're all up there. But I see now that I was given permission to give them to you even now. And that was the Idra, that was the end of his life. On the last day of his life that he revealed all the secrets. And he thought that he would save these and teach them up there, but he saw that there was light that had to come down into the world. But a Rebbe has to know how to share things in a way that's going to be received properly. Here's an example. Let's say a guy goes to Shir, and why is he going to Shir? Here's a question. I want to know Torah. What does Bava Metzia say? So imagine the guy goes to Shir, and all the Rebbe does is teach a Shir that's 500 steps above where the guy is holding. He teaches a complex Gemara B'Iyin Shir to this new person in learning. Will that help the guy? Or just fry him?
Well, there's the concept of like, when people want to teach like a kid to swim, right? They just like there's like some people like believe in the method of just like throwing the kid in and like obviously being close by, but like making the kid like struggle to like, you know, and there is like I'm not a fan of that, but like
Did they throw him into the deep end or the shallow end?
either way,
Did they throw him into
either way, the kid
quicksand or they throw him into something?
Either way, the kid is like
just beyond.
You see these videos of like one or two like these babies basically,
Oh, baby was the best.
and they just like chuck them in, and they're like, and the baby has to basically like struggle.
Babies float.
What?
Babies float.
Don't do anything dangerous. That's all I can tell you.
No,
Nothing dangerous.
No, it's like there's someone like close by, but it's like you've seen these videos. Like someone is like close by, but the baby is like struggling. The baby is like, oh, you learned to swim that way?
Yeah,
like
man.
the baby is struggling to breathe, but there's like someone close by, but the baby
Sounds like that could be traumatic,
the baby's
and I would
like,
avoid
the baby's
traumatic
like
things.
struggling to breathe. Like the baby's like drowning, and it's like it's like a method of teaching kids how to swim. I don't know what it's called, but it's a certain method that people like believe in. That it's like the best way to teach a kid how to swim. Like not doing it slowly, just doing it like, you know.
But it has to be that it could work. It can't be that nothing would be called a methodology if you're just failing.
Yeah.
It can't be that this is called a methodology that is just dangerous or failing. It has to be that there was a block in the person. The only way for that person to get past the block was to experience something firsthand, and then something innate in the person then kind of clicking into place, I can do this. And then them doing it. That no theory would have gotten them there. They had to experience it. They had to move their arms and their hands, and then just like riding a bike. At a certain point, you just have to let go, and the kid's got to just ride. You got to be able to ride the bike.
Yeah.
He might fall. We hope he doesn't, but he has to then move from dependent to independent. There needs to be a transition from dependent to independent. But what if it's something just completely unreasonable? Like, you know, we're just going to take a person and see if he could fly.
I hear what you're saying. Like it's possible, right? A kid could swim on his own. But,
Something which is, it's just so beyond.
Not right. Something that's not even possible. Oh.
It's so beyond where the person is holding. It's like a person that doesn't even know a language. And you give him, he doesn't know any Cantonese. And you want to teach him about the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. And you start speaking in Cantonese. All about the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. The guy's, he's like, why don't you understand? He's like, you know, there's something very basic here that's going on that I'm just not understanding called the language of Cantonese. Like, maybe we could translate this. Nowadays, I know they have these new pods that translate the language as you're listening. Do they work?
The Apple ones?
That's it.
Chetzi, chetzi.
And the ads, they work amazing.
Which ones do?
The ads.
The ads.
Oh.
Yeah, Apple's advertisements, they're...
The ads work very well.
Apple's ads are good. They have a good advertising.
They really have good.
Even if the technology doesn't work so well, but at least
100% of the
On
time it
TV,
works
their
in the
technology is amazing.
100% it works on the ads.
10%. It works 100%. 10% of the time. No, what is it?
The moment you
10%,
pay and leave the
100%.
store and your return policy is over, it stops free.
Well, I guess it just that then works with what we're speaking about, which is that if there is this language barrier and you're not able to translate the content, so how is that going to be a meaningful experience? It's going to be so much higher. So really the teacher has to then stop what they're doing, reevaluate. Is that even though they asked me, can you explain the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach? But you're explaining it in a way that's just above what they know. You're speaking Cantonese. So that's going to be something that there's not going to be a relationship. There's going to be no interface here. So the Rebbe would have to know how to then, let's just stop, reevaluate. How can I share something which will, yes, be appropriate to the person that's interested? Because people have lots of questions. But we have to be able to share answers to the questions in a way that will be relatable to the people, and not in a way that will be beyond where the people are at. And we're going to have some questions from our Chevra soon that we're so excited are with us. Ki im yegala oisem adavarim. So then Reb Nachman says something fascinating that can happen. Let's say the student asks something, But the student is asking something now from the student's perspective beyond what they can understand. Teach me the secrets of Maisa Chashmal, Maisa Merkava, certain ideas in Kabbalah. So he says, I want you to teach that to me. Ki im yegala oisan advarim yekansu makifen acherim b'toy sichloi kanal ulefa'amim ein tzarich lekabel elo hamakifen. So first we start with the Rebbe. If the student asks something and then the Rebbe reveals something, it may be that something that's going to come into the mind of the Rebbe will be beyond what even the Rebbe can handle. Because we said every time that you share a makif, a higher makif comes in. So even the Rebbe has to think, is this outside of my domain? If I share something on this topic, it could be something on a higher level is going to come in that's going to be challenging to understand. So a person has to know their pay grade. Kamoy Moshe. Now the Rebbe gives an interesting analogy. I see here also we asked the question if people were encouraged to ask questions growing up. And it's amazing that very few people were encouraged to ask questions growing up. Most people, I think, were discouraged to ask questions.
I think it starts a lot when you're like kids and you go to like your parents and you say like, Mommy, how does this work? And then they're like, hey, it just does. And then you never, so then you grow up, you start thinking, I guess no one knows these. My mom, my dad, the highest people I know, they don't know this. So, I mean.
And they kind of brushed me off. And they said like, that must make me feel foolish for asking.
So then you don't even start to like get into that like mind space of like questioning. You just sort of fall in line with, I guess I'm not a questioner.
Or you get the basic because I said so. That's always a good one. Like because I said, like why? Oh, because I said so. Like, oh, okay. Like that didn't. That like okay.
You know, kids are really looking for good answers to things.
That's the word. It's the word. It's like the worst thing you tell a kid, right? Because I said so. Like it's like
why?
Right.
Why?
Because I said so. It's like I was like okay. Like now what? Like I was like when you look back at it when like you at the time obviously you're a kid, but then when you look back at it, it's like man like what a terror man, that didn't accomplish anything. Like, it didn't give me my answer, and now I think like they hate me. So it's like you're like 0 for 2. It's like not only did you not get the answer you're looking for, but it's like oh man, like you know, it's like yeah,
it's not good.
It's not good at all.
It's not good.
It makes you feel
and then I think it squishes kids' curiosity.
Exactly.
Because kids, they will look at everything you do. Right. A kid will ask you, Tati, why are you doing that? Why'd you do this? What's that? What's going on there?
But that key part of you that you're talking about right there is what gets killed, or as part of the process, or gets squished, so that when you grow, most like as an adult, it's such an awesome mind space to even be in. But like if you never had that experience as a kid, like the why, like how, what's the point, like all these different questions, you really never even be able to like develop that as an adult.
And then you just like stop asking questions. And it's like, oh, every time I ask a question, like I get yelled at. So like
next thing you know, you're gonna get
like, why would I ask a question again if I'm just gonna get yelled at? Like what's the point? It's like, I'm just gonna Like,
I think kids live in a state of wonderment. They're just in this state of wonderment, of asking, of wanting to know, of anything that's going on. They want to know. You know, why'd you do that? What's going on here? You know, what is this? What are you doing?
How does this work?
And how does that? And if you just say, you know, like don't worry about it, like just nothing. Like no, but I noticed something is happening. Like usually you do something like this. Today you did something like that. Like you're holding something in the bag. What's in the bag? No, maybe it's like, you know, you got something from the store, like you got some deli. Now you want to eat your deli, but they're like, what's in the bag? And you thought that you were going to have your deli sandwich and only you. But now your kid's like, what's in the bag? What, you're not going to share with your kid? They want to know. No, it's nothing. I see there's something in that bag. You don't usually walk in with a bag. Like, there's something in that bag. These are all this curiosity, this natural, like wide-eyedness. And it's sad because we squish this sadly, and we hope that we are trying to do the opposite with our kids, is to encourage their thinking. And by the way, every single one of our friends that are here with us here, I want you to ask questions, think about things, really think and ask, and then be open to answers. But at least first to be encouraging people to think and
Not only
ask.
think, but think about why you think what you think. Like, what's the process behind the thought itself? Like, try to trace the, like, when you think, like, why do I believe in this? Then you say, well, I have this and I have this. Where did those come from?
Yes.
Was that my own research? Was that my environment?
What is it called? Cognitive dissonance?
Yes. It's like when you can't even, thought can't even enter into your brain space because your brain has to protect against it because it might be too challenging to your overall views.
Because that's the NPC.
Yes, so your brain has a whole part that literally just doesn't allow it. It's like no compute, like cannot.
Meaning a new idea will come in, but because it goes against whatever worldview you formed, you're finding it very hard to even accept or even listen to it. And I think usually people lash out at things that challenge their status quo.
It's like a reaction. It's a self-defense mechanism. Just
Yes.
like bacteria in the body to fight viruses, like a reaction of the body to kill the disease. It's very similar in the brain, where when an idea, it's just now it's working in the world of machshava, where it's like the thought is counter, so your brain has to make a defense. And the defense it knows is lash out, emotion, because it's the brain. It's going to react with.
So we have to help people to solve this. We have to help people to hear an idea and have a pristine interface with the idea, and essentially to remove the cognitive dissonance. To be able to hear an idea of its own merit. To hear an idea of its own merit and weight, and to see, does this idea carry weight of itself? Can I look at this idea? I always think it's encouraging that if, let's say, a person is having a debate, we were speaking about this earlier today, whenever I run debates with people, so we'll take a topic. Should you give your kids weed? Is weed good for society? So you have one guy, while he's hitting the bong, he's like, of course it's good. It's the best thing ever. You have another guy, no, it's very, very bad for society. Not good for anybody. Okay, so it's clear we see that each side has their opinion on the matter. So I'll say, okay, you, the guy who's hitting the bong, as we speak, you argue the side that it's not good for society. And the guy that thinks it's not good for society, you argue the side that it is good. Can you even hear another point of view? When you could make somebody argue the side that they don't even agree with, it lets you just start to hear other ideas. Very powerful exercise. To be able to see and speak out an idea. Very powerful. Can I hear any merit from the other perspective? It's a way, I think, to really get rid of cognitive dissonance, because it's so damaging a person that they can't hear. They're not listening to something. And here we're talking about questions, asking questions, thinking, asking, being open. So here the Rebbe says something amazing. Let's say an analogy, then we'll take for a few minutes some questions. Kamoi Moshe, K'she'arav medaberim talmidoi eze pshat b'gapach. Okay, we're going to save this actual analogy because it's a longer analogy for tomorrow. But essentially what the Rebbe is going to talk about, let's say the Rebbe is speaking out a Gemara. And then while he's speaking, there's a certain question in his mind. Now, before he was speaking out the Gemara, he never thought of this question. But now all of a sudden he sees this question. He's reading the Gemara and he sees a good question. So what if he then asks the students the question that popped into his mind?
And he would become the student. Yes.
So he's asking them, he's saying this question just popped into my mind, and then he puts it on the table for the students. Now, remember what we said. Before he had the question, it was a makif, it was beyond him. As soon as now he integrated it, it's now pinim. When he shares it with the students, we said it makes space for a new makif to come in. So he'll share the question, and right away he'll start getting the makings of an answer. So then he'll share the answer. But then what will happen? If he shares the answer, then a higher makif, a higher level of consciousness will come inside of him. That could go on ad infinitum. That as he shares the question, an answer comes to him. And then as he shares the answer, another question comes to him. Then as he shares, so how long is shir going to go on for? By the way, this is really what Olam Haba is going to be. That you're going to share a makif, and then you're going to get a higher level of consciousness. You're going to share that, you're going to get a higher level of consciousness, and you're going to keep going up and up into makifin forever.
Like the grains of sand with the pelican.
That's just the beginning of eternity.
Oh, I forgot.
Yes.
It's the first hour.
I forgot.
It's the first second
my bad.
of eternity.
Okay. I
Million years per grain of sand.
Still, like it's.
By the way, that's a good analogy,
it still
right?
bothers me because it's impossible to wrap your head around.
But it's at least somewhat that you start to see like length of time that's beyond, but at least it's pinning it.
Start to understand how big infinity actually is.
That's right, into something relatable
Physical, right.
that you can relate to. Okay, so we have a few minutes here with our chevra, some wonderful questions, because this is all about questions. I see that our dear brother Yosef is with us. Yosef, D1. We mamish love you. We miss you. We are so much yearning for your return to Yerushalayim HaKodesh, and I hope that it's sooner than later, my dear brother.
Hunter.
Mamish, it's not the same without you, Yosef. It's a different world over. Yitz here's, and he's sending his love to you specifically.
Yes. This is true.
So, a wonderful question from ENAMQA/B89. That yes, Yud-K, Vav-K, God promised and blessed the land of Eretz Yisrael to Avram. But then, my friend, read later where he gives it to Yitzchak, and read in last week's parsha where he says that I'm giving this land to Yaakov and the sons of Yaakov. So we see that the promise of the land is going through the forefathers, and it is continuing with Yaakov. Very important. Open up Genesis 28:10. Vayetze Yaakov in Beersheva yelech Harana, and Jacob is leaving Beersheva and he's going into Haran. Vayifka b'makom, and he comes to the Beis Hamikdash. V'yolen sham, and he sleeps there, and he has a dream. V'yishkal b'makom ahu v'yachal, v'hine sulam mutzav arza. He sees a ladder, Jacob's ladder. V'roisha migia shamayim, v'hine malachei Elohim oilam v'yordim boy. V'hine Hashem nitzav alav, and God is standing upon him, even higher than all the angels. And Hashem says, I am the God of Abraham, your forefather, and the God of Yitzchak. The land that you are lying upon, lecha etenena, I am giving to you, ulazarecha, and to your children. So very important, see Genesis 28:13, my dear friend. And it continues for an answer to your wonderful question. Thank you very much. So wonderful, so many people here sharing with us today, always encouraging. The more positivity that we share together, the more that we'll all grow. And the more that you'll really tap in to the nature of your godly soul. Because your godly soul is grand, is pure, is great. And therefore always making sure to tap in to your godly soul and to live by your godly soul.
I have a question around that. So why do most people not do that? Like, why do people feel like when you say stuff like that, people are like, oh, like you're so weak, or like, you know what I mean? That's such a like.
If you're
like,
positive,
yeah, it's like.
It's very easy to be.
You're not a man. It's like if you're. It's like that's what it's like.
It's very easy to be negative because negativity is coming from the animal self, which is really the fight or flight response. And the fight or flight response is really the lower consciousness of ourselves. And therefore, because after Adam ate from the tree, we identify with the five senses in the sensual world, it's easier to act that way. But it's so much lower. It's easier because we relate to acting that way. Oh, he said that, because that's the world of our five senses, the animal self. But what the Torah wants us to do is rise up to our godly self, which is positive, which helps people. So Bezrat Hashem, we will be able to do that.
Alex Ani wants to know, do people have to pay to convert to Judaism?
There's no payment, not whatsoever. All that a person has to do, and we're hearing a lot of people reaching out to us about converting, all that a person has to do is accept the 613 mitzvahs. I'm saying all, it's a big responsibility. And if they are male, then they have a bris, they go to the mikveh, and that's it. And by saying that's it, I'm making it sound that it's easy. It's really that a person feels that this is something that's calling them from their inner core. And if a person is feeling this inner calling, then they can. But you don't have to pay any money for that. There's nothing in the Torah that says you have to pay anything for that. It may be that if someone's teaching you, you would pay for their time. If somebody is, if you're going to the Beis Din, you may have to pay for their time. But the actual conversion has no money associated with it. Thank you for the wonderful question.
This one's a little Kabbalistic, but will Elohim bless our zera when we share chokhmah to others?
Yes. So this is the whole Torah here, is that as you're giving your chokhmah, as you're giving your das, as you're sharing, so you will then not only have your children blessed, but like we said, you will create children. Because as you are teaching your chokhmah, you are creating human beings. You're taking people from being NPCs and making them into human beings. Because before that, they were just acting in a robotic way and supporting the latest thing. But now, when you are able to share chokhmah and wisdom with someone, you're bringing them to a higher state of their consciousness, and you are building up humanity, and you're doing what's called Yeshuva Shel Olam. Thank you very much for the wonderful question. We have time for, I think, one more question, then we're going to continue downstairs as we're beginning the whole series on Hanukkah, my friends. Hanukkah. There's a question here about reading Psalms 22. Wonderful. An excellent idea. You should read all the Psalms. There's 150 of them. And always remember that King David was an Orthodox rabbi, maybe one of the greatest Orthodox rabbis of all time. And King David loved the Talmud. King David was a person who the halacha, which is the Jewish law, would follow King David in every single place. The Torah says, halacha kamoisoi b'kol makom. King David was the greatest Orthodox rabbi of all time, that the law always followed his halachic decision making. Thank you so much.
David wants to know, do you have a favorite psalm?
A favorite psalm? I like 121, Shir Lamalois. I like 23, that God, even though we may walk through the valley of the shadow of death, Lo irara, we will not be afraid. Ki ata imadi, for you are with me. And Bela and I will tell you, we have a tradition that a person, after they have the morning meditation prayers, after Shachris, that they say that very psalm. Because after you're finishing Shachris, the morning meditation, and you're getting ready to go into the work world, you're getting ready to go onto Wall Street, you're getting ready to get involved in some of the challenge and maybe the darkness of the world, you have to know, Lo yirara, I will not be afraid, Hashem, because you are with me. Aboy Sai, it's a pleasure learning together, growing together. Thank you so much for sharing together. Crystal Webb, thank you. It should be much blessing for you. We should only see good things for all of us. Amen ve amen. Kol tuv Rabbi Sai.